All right, the ladies are ready to go. Up next, the intersection of sex, power, and politics. Who's the prey and who's the predator? It should be a dynamic and interesting, provocative discussion. Thanks, Greg. So now to our panel on sex and power and why men like David Petraeus or John Allen, if indeed John Allen, the Marine Corps General John Allen, did anything for risking everything for just a little bit on the side. We're joined by our dear friend, Dr. Victoria Wilson, the owner of the New Jersey Center for Positive Psychology. She's sitting alongside Laura McDonald, the New York-based marriage counselor, and in Los Angeles by Dr. Ava Cadell, founder and president of Loveology University. Dr. Ava, why do men risk everything for a little bit on the side?
Well, powerful men risk everything for a little on the side because they do have larger than normal egos. They have a sense of entitlement, and they know that their jobs are an aphrodisiac to lots and lots of volunteers. So willing volunteers, of course. And so it's very hard for them to basically resist the temptation.
Hard for the men to resist the temptation?
It's harder for the men to resist the temptation because, you know, we are not monogamous by nature, and men, you know, go back as far as to caveman era where they would plant their seed in as many places as possible. So they are still having the urges of the sperm competition.
Do you find that, Dr. Victoria?
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think it's a combination of the several variables. It's high testosterone, it's opportunity and availability of these women because some men simply don't get the opportunity. It's narcissistic entitlement and stress, a lot of stress, and this is a form of stress management.
What about, you know, I've heard some cruel humor about comparing Paula to Mrs. Petraeus, etc. Is there just pure biology at work here, Laura? You know, a younger woman, you know, is there biology in play there too?
I think it honestly depends on the individual. You can't generalize that all men in power cheat. It depends on the person. It depends on their
Well, that's a good question. I don't mean to interrupt you, but do more men in power cheat than like regular old guys?
No, it's just publicized more because they're in the public spotlight. Women cheat just as much. They just hide it more.
So typically, would a woman cheat with, you know, would she pick an A-type personality, or would she go with the pool boy?
It depends. It depends on her physical attraction towards that person. It depends on who the person is. It's not, I really don't feel like you can generalize that just because you're in power, you're more inclined to cheat. I think there's more possibility because more people are out to, you know, have interest in you.
But I think also the risk-taking. I think a lot of the men in power have a risk-taking, sensation-seeking personality trait, which sort of lowers the impulse control. So even though many men may want to cheat, those with lower inhibition, more risk-taking propensity are more likely to take a chance when it presents itself.
All right, I tell you what, ladies, what you want to...
I was just wondering, you know, here is Paula Broadwell. She's a biographer for General Petraeus. I wonder how much she wanted to write herself into his history.
That's interesting. She wanted to put herself in his story.
She'll always be
that's
in his
that's an
biography.
Interesting point. All right, much more with our ladies and gentlemen, and then. Continue our discussion, sex, power, politics with psychologist Victoria Wilson, marriage counselor Laura McDonald, and in Los Angeles, Dr. Ava Cadell. Craig's here too. So the sexual aspects of the story, it's almost overshadowed the underlying scandal, which is of profound national security importance, and yet we're talking about whether he did Jill the way he did Paula.
Well, there's a certain sense of schadenfreude, this whole thing that they may be these powerful men, but they're fallible human beings, just like the rest of us. And I think we can really relate to that, and it fascinates us.
So because they are more human, they are revealed as just like us?
Exactly. And we can, you know, they're no longer these powerful, strong men that are above the law. They're just like us, and they have the same urges and same mistakes.
Well, Laura, we've heard, obviously, Bill Clinton famously had his office affair with the young intern, who really was a child. I mean, his risk was crazy risk. I guess David Petraeus was also as the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, for goodness sake. So is the appeal so strong that really It doesn't matter. You risk even the presidency of the United States of America, historic, important, significant post. You'd risk even that for peace on the side.
If you're not really thinking it through, yeah.
But is it true that that some men, or I mean, I speak now knowing, and that I'm a decade clean and sober now, but so I'm trying my best to forget what happened before, but to throw everything away potentially just for a little nookie.
It depends. If it's thrown at you and you get the urge and you really don't think about it and you go for it, yeah. But there are consequences.
Who is it that said power is an aphrodisiac?
So that's the woman's
That's what it is.
turn on.
And after all, he's been controlling himself for 38 years. So
I believe that too. I absolutely believe that. When he tells his trusted people like Colonel Mansour and Colonel Boylan, who were on earlier, that this is the first time, I feel almost sorry for him in a way that, he got. I do feel sorry for him. Not in a way. I feel totally. He was a wonderful general. He was a wonderful director of the CIA. Should America evolve enough, or have we evolved enough that we could forgive him and welcome him back into public life?
Absolutely, and like Ava said, monogamy is a very high and difficult standard for humankind.
Even for General David Petraeus.
Even for the powerful and the strong ones.
I want to thank you both. Dr. Ava in LA, Laura and Victoria, thank you. Craig. Up next is gas price gouging.